Managing our MS symptoms can be really challenging, but there are things that we can do every day to help. Taking disease-modifying treatments can slow down or halt the progression of MS, but what can we do about existing symptoms? Excellent question. Medications can help, but there's also things that we can do in our everyday life to help. In today's video, I'm so excited to be talking to neurologist Dr. Erin Boster from the Boster Center for Multiple Sclerosis. I have been a fangirl for years. If you've not met Dr. Boster yet, I encourage you to check out his YouTube channel, his Facebook page, and his website, and I will link them all in the description below. Dr. Boster is a board-certified neurologist specializing in multiple sclerosis and related central nervous system inflammatory disorders. He has been intimately involved in the care of people impacted by multiple sclerosis. He's been a principal investigator on numerous clinical trials, trained numerous multiple sclerosis doctors and nurse practitioners, and published extensively in medical journals. He lectures to MS patients and providers worldwide with a mission to educate, energize, and empower people impacted by multiple sclerosis. Welcome, Dr. Boster.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, I am thrilled that you're here today. There's a lot of my viewers who are also big fans of yours.
Well, hello, howdy, hi.
So in watching you over the years, you've offered such great information about MS and advice on how we can help manage it and our symptoms. Today, I'd like to talk to you about 10 things you've recommended that can help us live well with our MS, in addition to taking the most efficacious DMT possible. Sound good?
Sounds wonderful. Let's do it.
All right. The first is don't smoke stuff. Why shouldn't we smoke stuff? What will happen?
So smoking carbon-based stuff, whether that be tobacco or cannabis, is very pro-inflammatory. And if you are exposed to tobacco smoke, whether that be firsthand or secondhand, it actually increases someone's risk to develop MS. Now, if you already have MS and you're smoking, it can speed up your disease upwards of 50% faster, which is really terrifying. And so, obviously we want to do anything and everything we can to slow things down, and not smoking is a big one.
Excellent. Thanks so much. We really don't want it to speed up 50%. So that's great advice. Number two, exercise as part of our lifestyle. How can exercise help us?
Exercise is arguably the least appreciated disease-modifying therapy. I always kind of think of it as like the second most potent DMT. And exercise does a lot of things for us. It can help with energy. It can help with cognition. It slows brain volume loss over time. It most certainly helps with mood. It can help with spasticity. It can prevent falls. It can help with balance. I mean, I could go on, but one of the things that I always like to keep in mind is if you are in shape and God forbid you have an attack, you're going to be limping if you have left leg weakness, let's say. But if you're deconditioned, that same attack may put you in a wheelchair. And so I always want people to embrace exercise as part of their lifestyle as one of the key elements to living their best life despite having MS.
Oh, I 100% agree. We need to keep moving. And,
Yep.
All those things that it helps, especially brain volume loss. I think that's one of the scarier aspects of MS is that our brains shrink faster than the general public.
That's exactly right. And I think the idea of exercising as part of your lifestyle is a big element to help combat that. And I want to point out, when I say as part of your lifestyle, what I mean by that is you're not rewarded when you do it, and you're not punished when you don't do it. It's just part of what you do.
Excellent. I make sure that I take my dogs on a walk every morning, and I try to do some kind of other exercise throughout the week, whether it's a Zumba or working out at the gym, doing some light weights. It really makes me feel better overall as well.
Amen. Me too.
The next is stretching. Why do we need to stretch?
Stretching is underappreciated, and a lot of people, upwards of 70% of people with MS, have spasticity, cramps, muscle spasms, limbs that are hard to bend. And if you stretch, you can combat that. Having tight muscles can lead to contractures of the muscles. It can cause you to sit in awkward positions, which can cause breakdown of skin and bed sores. It can lead to causing you to kind of walk whapper-jawed and ultimately hurt your joints. And all of this can be combated by stretching. Stretching is free. and it's not hard to do. And so what I have found is if you can get in the habit of stretching out in the morning before you start your day, stretching before you climb in bed, and then once in the middle of your day, you're going to find that spasms, cramps, Charlie horses, and stiff legs plummet.
I
You know,
100% agree. If I stretch regularly, my spasms go down so much. And then I get out of the habit and they come back. And it's a good reminder that I need to do it every day consistently.
I certainly find it to be a really key element. And to your point, if you don't do it, you can sometimes pay the price. And so we just want to keep reminding people, if they're listening right now, stretch a bit.
Awesome. Number 4, clean eating. Why do we need to eat clean?
So Americans are not renowned worldwide for awesome diets. And unfortunately, for various reasons, a lot of our food is sugar laden. A lot of it's processed, a lot of it's fried. And what I have found over almost 2 decades of trying to help families impacted by MS, that when you clean up your diet, some very special things happen. So when you avoid sugar-laden foods and processed foods and the like, people have more energy, they think more clearly, their mood improves, and other aspects of their neurological function seem to get better. Not to mention that it's easier to control their weight. And so, if someone impacted by MS has limitations to movement and exercise, they're at risk of putting on a couple extra pounds, which adds insult to injury. If you eat clean and eat high quality foods, you lose those extra pounds, and that can play big dividends when trying to live your best life.
Absolutely. I've been doing a lot of research on diet on my channel. I talk about diet an awful lot. And I think the 2 biggest things that we could get rid of are processed grains like flour,
Yep.
sugar. Those are the 2 big inflammatory parts of our diet. So if we can get rid of the processed foods and cut back on the sugar, our inflammation is going to go down. We're going to feel better.
Big
And
time.
who doesn't want to feel better, right?
Absolutely. And if somebody's listening to this right now and they're kind of dubious, I double dog dare you to try it for a month. You would be shocked at what removing sugar can do.
Absolutely. Yeah. I have a saying, if it's grown on a plant, eat it. If it's made in a plant, don't. Now, not everybody's going to be vegan or whole food plant-based, but if you can add more vegetables and don't buy things in packages and boxes, it has a huge impact on your health and well-being.
Super smart. I oftentimes remind people, you want to shop on the perimeter of the grocery store. That's where the real food is found. The stuff in the center that's in boxes never spoils or goes bad because it's not food, it's chemicals.
Right. It's food-like product. Next, number 5, supplementing with vitamin D. Why is that important to us?
Vitamin D, which is something that we get through a skin reaction from exposure to the sun, is an interesting vitamin because in the body, it acts as a hormone. It also acts as a neurotransmitter. And there's a lot of data that suggests that low levels of vitamin D pre-puberty may increase an individual human's risk to develop MS. And there's also some data that suggests that if you have MS, low levels of vitamin D correlate with things we don't like increased risk of attack, increased risk of brain volume loss, and increased risk of new spots. And so supplementing vitamin D, in my mind, is a relatively easy and safe thing to do to combat all of that.
Excellent. Thanks so much. Number 6, this is a more recent addition to your list of things to do. Having a daily practice of mindfulness. How can this help us?
That's exactly right. I used to talk about being 4 for 4 in your fight against MS. And a wonderful friend of mine, a woman named Dr. Sullivan, who is a world-renowned psychologist, said, "Hey, Boster, you forgot one." And I got all indignant. I said, "No, I made it up." And she goes, No, you need to be 5 for 5 because you forgot mindfulness. And she was dead right. So mindfulness I defined as being in the present moment without prejudice, meaning you're involved in an activity and you're not telling yourself a movie in your mind of what might happen in the future. And you're not lamenting about stuff you did wrong or forgot to do in the past. Being mindful in the present moment is magical. And unfortunately, in Western cultures, we're not taught to cultivate that. If you can eat a cheeseburger and drive a car and talk on the cell phone all at the same time, well, good job, sister. You're being really efficient. But not only is that dangerous, it also takes you away from yourself and increases risk of depression. And we know that stress and depression can worsen MS. And so the daily practice of mindfulness, I think, is very important to cultivate. It's something that I have been working on cultivating in my own personal life as well.
Excellent advice. Shortly after my diagnosis, I took a 7-week course on mindfulness-based stress reduction based on the teachings of John Kabat-Zinn, and
Right.
it's had a huge impact on my life, not just my MS. I have a daily practice where every morning before I get out of bed, I take 10 mindful breaths. And every evening when I get back into bed, I take 10 more mindful breaths. And
I
I
love it.
try to do a guided meditation after breakfast sometime as well, or a nature walk, or, in the shower, I do something where I'm being very mindful of where I am and what I'm doing. So
That's super
mindfulness is
smart,
great.
super smart. When in the beginning of the pandemic, I started a practice of shower meditation where at the end after cleaning my body, I sit in the shower and close my eyes and I just sit there and let all the thoughts come and go. And eventually I can hear the water and I just breathe. And I have to be honest, it's really one of the highlights of my day. I stand up and I am like super energized to go to clinic and whoop some MS butt.
That's awesome. I love that you mentioned you let the thoughts come and go. Some people think that mindfulness and meditation is clearing your mind, and it's not. It's about being present, and thoughts are natural and normal. I envision my thoughts when I'm meditating as icons on my desktop. They're there, but I don't have to double click on them and launch the program and go deep into the program, or, I don't have to go deep into that story. I just say, okay,
I love that idea.
I'll get to you later. I can get to the program later. Right now, mommy's busy breathing.
I think that's really, really clever. I sometimes think of the thoughts as like clouds.
Yeah.
They can come and then they can just go.
Yeah. Yeah. Just let them float by. You're busy breathing and focusing on the moment. You can get to them later.
Amen.
All right. Number 7, the importance of sleep. Why do we need to get good sleep?
Sleep is so, so important. And yet in Western culture, we try to cheat. We try to steal time and we rob ourselves of sleep. As you're well aware, MS is a condition where the most common symptom is fatigue. And MS fatigue is a monster. And if you're not getting solid, adequate, restorative sleep, you're really cutting your knees off, before you even start your day. And so there's a lot of things about sleep hygiene that we Americans aren't particularly awesome at. And spending some energy and time really focusing on high quality sleep and adequate quantity of sleep can make worlds of difference. And that's true for all humans. But I think in MS, it's particularly advantageous.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I try to get a solid 7 to 8 hours each night. It's not my best practice. I'm working on it daily, trying to have good sleep hygiene and, make sure I get a good solid to 8 hours every night.
You'll notice that when you do that, the next day is so much more effective.
Yep.
You can handle stress better. You can handle what's thrown at you better. And you're a better version of yourself when you're well rested.
Absolutely, 100%. Number 8, upping our water game. How can water help?
Water is really, really important. And so we could do the MS Water Challenge. Many of us run around dehydrated, and dehydration intensifies many MS symptoms, not just problems with bladder, because actually the more dehydrated you are, the worse your bladder gets. Not only does it worsen constipation, which, as we're well aware, can be a major issue in MS, it can increase headache, but it can also really tap your energy levels. It can actually lead to depression and foggy thinking. The list goes on. Spasticity is worse when you're dehydrated. Neuropathic pain is worse when you're dehydrated. And so upping your water game is really a practice that I want to cultivate. I mean, we need to drink between 100 and 120 ounces of water a day. And a lot of people, they live on soda and other caffeinated beverages, and they don't realize that they're literally just dehydrating themselves each time they drink. And so upping your water game, I think, is terribly underappreciated.
Thanks so much. All right, number 10. I accidentally skipped number 9, avoiding polypharmacy. This is an important one. So I'm going to insert some clips here from Dr. Boster's video on polypharmacy, and I'll include a link above and in the description below to his full video on polypharmacy. Polypharmacy is taking lots of medicines. And this can be a problem because all the medicines can have side effects and they can interfere with one another. And as we improve our diets and lifestyles, maybe, just maybe, all those meds are not needed.
Are you taking too many prescription medicines? Time and time again, when patients clean up their diet and remove processed foods and sugar-laden foods and they drink more water, guess what? Their bladder works better, their bowels work better, they're less fatigued, they have less spasticity, they think more clearly, for real. Similarly, a commitment to exercise, a commitment to getting proper sleep, these are not small things. And if they can improve symptoms, it might allow us to get rid of some medicines. I need you to be an awesome you advocate, and I need you to think about polypharmacy. So if you look at your med list and you're on a bunch of medicines, then I think that that's worth a conversation with your clinician. I would ask you the next time that you see your neurologist, say, hey, I feel like I'm on a lot of medicines. Is there any medicine on this list that we could either get rid of or maybe cut in half?
Number 10, a favorite one, owning a dog.
Yes.
Why should we own a dog?
I think that all humans benefit from being around dogs. Now, I'm a little bit biased because, as you well know, I'm very much in love with my dog. Actually, let me see, at the risk of creating a ruckus here, if I can just unblur my background.
River dog.
So River is the love of my life. This is my American Mastiff puppy. She's 8 years old, and she's. You want to say hi to the internet real quick?
My River dog, such a good girl.
She really is. So
Mewtwo.
Yeah, there's Mewtwo, my son's cat. So dogs are very, very special, and I think owning a dog does a lot of things for us that help in the setting of multiple sclerosis. A dog loves you and is a constant companion. And so often people with MS find themselves to be socially isolated. And having a companion like a dog can really combat that. Having a dog forces you to get up, because if you don't get up and walk the dog doesn't fare well. They need to walk, you need to walk, so let's do it to it. Also, if you don't get up and let the dog out, then you get an unpleasant present in the house. Dogs help you exercise. I mean, even someone who doesn't have a lot of mobility, throwing the ball with the dog is really, really special. Dogs can provide some degree of security. So when someone is alone, having a dog there, even just a bark at the door, lets someone know that, that they shouldn't really mess with you. I mean, the list of benefits for dog ownership goes on and on, but I really feel like we have co-evolved with dogs and that we're better off with them. River is a constant companion. She goes to bed with me. At the risk of oversharing, she goes to the bathroom with me. She comes in the car with me, and she certainly comes to work with me, and she enriches my life. And I think dog ownership enriches most dog owners' lives.
100% agree. I had Lincoln the Wonder Dog for 13 years. He was a lab mix, and he was my best friend. I spent more time with him than any other living being on the planet.
Yep.
And we were best friends. And then we lost him, and I waited almost a year before we got another dog. And now I have Bungie, my Australian cattle dog mix, and he's amazing. He is so fun and exuberant. And because he's a young cattle dog, he's got high energy. So he keeps me moving.
Which is fantastic. I just think
it's a walk every day. So we definitely keep moving.
And that's good for him, and it's so good for you.
Yeah. So of the 10 things we talked about, I see a theme coming from the answers you gave. A lot of these things that we can do in our daily lives are going to help with fatigue, cog fog, muscle spasms, pain, shrinking brain. But the fatigue and the cog fog are two of our biggest problems. They're
Yes.
the two biggest reasons that we leave the workforce. And I would say they're the two biggest reasons that we withdraw from being with other people because we're
100%.
tired or we're not sure of ourselves. So doing all of these 10 things, which aren't too hard, can help with all those. So I think that's just wonderful.
Thank you. I'm a big believer that we need to become self-advocates, and I really think that self-empowerment is really important. I mean, that's one of the things that I think you do such a good job of promoting on your channel. And hopefully people listening to this can take away a couple tricks and tips so they can feel more self-empowered as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Boster. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with our viewers on living well with MS or managing our symptoms?
I would simply say that I want you guys to be a little bit selfish. You only get to live one time. It's your brain. It's your body. Heck, it's your insurance money. And so it's okay to be a little bit selfish. And if somebody's not listening, if a healthcare provider is not listening, it's okay to say, wait, no, I'm not okay with that. I think this is important and I need you to hear me. And so, part of self-advocacy, I think it's okay to be a little bit selfish, particularly when you're trying to live your best life with MS.
I will drink to that.
Amen, sister. Thank you again for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Thanks, Dr. Boster. And thank you, my dear viewers, for joining us today. If you enjoy content like this, please make sure that you subscribe, hit the like notification, the thumbs up under the video, and don't forget to subscribe for my newsletter using the link below. Until next time, be well.